Hello everybody and welcome to Krista So Crafty. My name is Krista. Today we're going to be working on block 8 of the block of the week. Today's block is called Scrappy Heart Quilt Block. I'm going to use kind of different shades of pinks and reds and white as my background. You can use whatever you like. The fabrics that you're going to need to complete this block are, we need 9 3-inch pink squares. So we need 9 of these. You are also going to need 5 3-inch red squares. Now, like I said, you can do this in whatever colors, but these are just the colors I'm using. And you're going to need 6 2.5-inch red squares. To go along with this, I'm going to use white as my background color. So you will need 14 3-inch squares, as well as 2 2.5-inch squares. Our first step is to take the 14 3-inch background squares and we're going to draw a line from one corner to another corner. We need to do that on all of these, okay? So with these blocks, what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to draw this line on each of these squares like that. So now what we're going to do with all of our whites is we're going to have our pinks, and we're going to put our pink with the right side up, and we're going to take our white with our right sides down, and we're going to put that line right here. What we're going to do is we're going to go and take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew on either side of this line. What I like to do is to put a pin in either side just to hold this in place. And we can take this to our sewing machine. I'm going to use a 1/4-inch seam. So I'm going to move my needle over, and I'm going to use a 2.4 stitch length. And go right down the other side. Perfect. So now we can remove our pins, and we can take this and we can cut this in half. So then we're going to have 2 half square triangles that look like this. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this to the side, and I'm going to sew these all together. Another way that I like to, when I have this many to do, I like to chain sew them. So I'll take the background square, put the white on top of it, so the right sides are together. And I'm going to sew these all down one side, and then I will take them and sew them on the other side. We'll start off by doing this side. You don't have to cut your thread, just leave it the way it is. And we're just going to continue with all of these until they're all sewn on one side. Okay, so we'll just bring this in. So now that I've gotten to the end of this one, I will cut the thread. So I've got all the white and the pinks together. So now I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to sew down on the other side. Line this up. And this is called chain piecing. It just helps to speed things up a little bit. And it also helps to save on thread because you're not having to cut in between each block, right? So just keep sewing these. And like that, we're done. So we have all of our blocks. So now I'm going to take some little snips, and I'm just going to cut these apart. Like so. And then once we've done this, I do like to take it over to the ironing board and just press them, because they're not sitting nice and flat. And if you just give them a little press, it relaxes those stitch lines, and then we can go and cut them all apart. So this whole block that I'm going to show you today is built based on half square triangles. So we're just going to bring these in, lay them all out. And at this point in time, there's no rhyme or reason. Like I said, I'm just going to give them a press just to relax those seams. Like that. And we're done. Okay, I'm going to bring these in. I'm going to use my little ruler just because it's a little bit more convenient. I'm going to line up the edge of the ruler on that pencil line we drew, corner to corner, and cut. I'm going to do that with all of these. All right, so now we can take all of these beautiful half square triangles to our ironing board and we can iron them. Now with these ones, we're going to do something a little different. Normally we would press to the dark side, but this time we're going to press the seams open. Okay, so we're going to open this up like this. I'll bring my iron to the other side. And we're going to press all of these seams open like this. Give it a good press. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with every one of these. Here's the last one. Open this up. And I like to just kind of finger press them down. And then just run that iron tip right down the center and hold it for a second or two. And now we need to take these all over to the cutting table and we're going to trim these all up to 2.5 inches, which will trim it to 2.5 inches, but it'll also cut off all of these dog ears. All right, so here's all our blocks that we need to square up. And I'm going to use this little ruler. It's called Block Lock. You can find it at www.blocloc.com. I'm pretty sure I bought this off of Missouri Star Quilt Company quite a few years ago. I'm sure they still have them. But I'm going to use this because, A, it's 2.5 inches square, which is what we want our block to be. And these, in the center of this, it has a part that's cut out. Can you see that? I guess it's easier to see there. So it's cut out, and so when you lay it on the block, it helps to lock it in place, hence the name of the block, Block Lock. So you do that, and then you take your cutter and you cut. I do 2 sides, and then I will flip it, and I will rotate this as well. Get that lined up. Trim that side off, and I need to trim this side off. You are going to square up all of your blocks to 2.5 inches. So we're going to have 18 2.5 inch white and pink half square triangles. Now, if you don't have one of these rulers, that's fine. You can absolutely use just a regular ruler. You can use one of these. Okay, so again, what I would do is I would take and I'd line up that center line with the center stitching and line this up so that it's at 2.5 inch, like this, and go cut both sides. And now I can take this and just trim off these little dog ears, and I have a 2.5 inch block. So again, I'm just going to line this up. Make sure you have it exactly on the 2.5, like that. And that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to trim up all of these blocks. We have 18 of the white and the pink, so the background and your one color of your half square triangles. We have 18 of those. Now we're going to take our red squares and our white backgrounds that we've already drawn the lines on, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm not going to show you that because we just went through it all, but you're going to do the exact same thing, okay? Right sides together, either side of the line, cut them, open them, and they're going to look like this, but then it will be white with the red. And here we have our 10 red and white half square triangles. So now we're ready to start putting everything together. So our pattern is going to be 6 across by 6 down. So we're going to start with the pink, and we're going to start with this one where the pink is in the bottom right hand corner. And then we're just going to go along and we're going to make that zigzag pattern. So that's 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I'm just going to move these apart a bit more. And now we need to move on to the next row. So we need to have a pink, and a pink is going to be facing up like this. Make sure these are all laid out nice so you guys can see it. I'm just going to separate these a little bit so that once it's all done, you can take a screenshot to be able to have a copy of this. And then we're going to put in one of the reds and another red here. So that's the point of the heart. And then we're going to go like this and like this. So that's the other point, or the other top part of our heart. And then we need one more pink. And that's going to go up like this. Hold on, this is wrong. There we go. That's better. I'm like, something's wrong here. So let's line these up. That's second row. So your third row, you're going to start and end with a white. We're going to start with the red, the solid reds, all the way across, like that. Let me get these out of the way here. And row 4, you're going to have 2 solids in the middle. And then we need to have a red and a red. And then out here, we're going to have the white and the pink. So that's row 4. I maybe need to zoom you out just a little bit more. And then this row, we need to have the bottom of our heart. And then we're going to use more of these pinks. So we're going to go like this. And we're making that shape around. And then this one goes this way. And then on our last row, we're going to put the red one in the corner like that. And the red one in the corner there. And then these ones are going to go like this. There we go. Oh, I'm going to move you up a little bit here. There we go. That is our design. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 36 squares that are 2.5 inches each. Most of them are half square triangles, and we made this beautiful design. I just think that this is so much fun. I love the red and the pink together. It's very striking. So you could do a whole quilt again of this. It'd be so much fun. Actually, you could take these and sew these together and then rotate them. So one was facing this way and then rotate it and put them together into either a table runner, or you could put them into a quilt. Either way, I think it would be fun. So now we need to start sewing these together. So we're going to start on the top row. I'm going to start on one side and I'm going to pin, sew, pin, sew, pin, sew. And then that way nothing will get mixed up. So I'm going to start here. So just lay these together like this and put a pin in, and then we'll take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew this with a 1/4 inch stitch and a 2.4 stitch length on all the blocks. So let's just start sewing. So that one is sewn. So now I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to flip this one onto here. And I'm going to sew this edge here. And now we'll bring this back in. I'm going to take this one and flip it over here. And so this edge right here, like that. And make sure that when you're doing this, you want to keep this the right way up, okay? You don't want to get it turned around. And add this one. And this one. Okay, so here's our top row. It's all done. Now, what we need to do now is we're going to take this over to the ironing board, and we're going to press each one of these seams open like we did here. So we're going to press each one of these open, and then we'll come back and work on row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, we're just going to open these up, and we're going to press them open. And then we'll do this one. Now, by doing this, what it does is it just helps everything to lay down nicely, because there's so many seams on this block. This just helps it to lay down nice and flat, okay? So we're just going to do this all the way along. And then we're going to repeat this same process with the other 5 rows. Yeah, there's so many seams in here that if we were to press them to one side or the other, it would get real bulky. And we don't want that. We want this block to lay down as flat as we can. And then I do like to take it and to the front side and just give it a good press from here. There we go. And now I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take this row and sew them together, and all of these like this. And then we'll come back and start sewing them together the other way. So just do each row, one row at a time, and watch that you don't turn your blocks or anything. If you need to, put a little pin in there and just keep sewing them together. So I wanted to show you that on the second row, you're going to come across a time where you're going to have to match up these. So because we have the seams pressed open, what I do is I match up the lines here. I'll take it and I'll line it up in here. So I'll line up these seams on the inside like that and go all the way down. And I'm putting the pin right in that seam, okay? And then that will hold that in place. And then we can stitch using our 1/4 inch stitch, and it will keep these nice in line. I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, so there, see how nice that came together? And that's what we want. Okay, so just if you need to, use your pins, put it right along this seam once you get everything lined up, and it should help to match up those seams perfectly. As you can see, I have all of the rows sewn together. So now I'm going to take these rows over to the ironing board. I'm going to iron open all of these seams, and then we'll come back and we'll start putting it together this way. Let's get these laid back out in the right order. I tried to keep them in the right order when I was pressing them. So that looks good. We need to bring in our pins because now we do need to match up all of these seams here, okay? So we'll flip this over. Just going to move these over out of the way. And I'm going to line up those seams like we did before, except we can't nestle them again, but we can line them up. And then same thing, we will take our stick pin and go right through that seam. Just like that. We're going to do that with all of these, and this will ensure that we have beautiful joins.
Okay. Just like that.
Now this block, because we have 36 2.5-inch blocks, is going to have a lot of seams. So you want to make sure that you're using your pins, making sure that your seams are pressed open. That will help reduce a lot of the bulk in these joins. You have 8 layers of fabric in each one of these little joins. So you definitely want to use your pins. I would say pins over clips, because with the pins, you can get right in between those seams. Just like that. Just like that, which will help you to make sure that these joins are perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little pin down here. Like this. And now we can go and sew. I do try to get my needle as close as I can to where the pin is before I take the pin out. This would help to make sure that everything's sewn together nicely. All right, there we go. We have our first kind of rows together, which is fantastic. So I'm going to lay that over there, and I'm going to do them in groups of 2, and then I'll go back and do the other ones. Woohoo! We got it all done. We need to still go and press open these seams, but here it is so far. So very nice. Here is our block. Get it in the corner. Make sure it is 12.5 inches, which it is. Fantastic. I love the color choice on this. I love the colors. We have it all done, you guys. I'm just trimming up some of the threads and getting rid of a lot of threads. When you're dealing with little tiny blocks like this, there's going to be tons and tons of little threads and stuff. Feel free to, trim them all up, make your block look as nice as you can. This block was very fun to make. I quite enjoyed it. I enjoy this kind of, what is this called, like a pixelated picture. So I do enjoy this. I did a gnome here a little while ago. I can put a link up here for you. I didn't do a tutorial on it, but I did show the basic construction of the gnome quilt, and it was really cute. And it was using, I think they were 2.5-inch blocks as well, but there were like 600 and some blocks, so there was a lot of blocks. Unlike this one that's only 36 squares. So let me give you another view of that and see how nice those joins are. That's what happens when you put the stick pins in the seam itself, when you get everything lined up. So what can you do with these blocks? Everything. This would make such a cute cushion cover. So if you wanted, you could take this and put a 1-inch piece of fabric all the way around, and then make up the backing, like the envelope style backing, which I have a video I will link up above as well. It would make such a cute cushion cover. You could make this all into a quilt. Oh, hi, Tux. It's nowhere near treat time. It's too early. You're like an hour too early for your treat. You have to wait. You have to go lay down. Anyways, there. Dogs know the time, except when the time changed, he got messed up. So he's an hour early. But anyways, This would make a beautiful quilt. This would make a beautiful table runner. You could put 3 of them together, you know, have one facing this way, and then these 2 would be facing out, or however you want to do it. There's lots of different things that you can use these blocks for. You could put them together in a quilt like we're going to do with all of the scrappy ones we're doing. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing to my channel and click the little bell to receive notification every time I upload a new video. So thank you again, and I can't wait to join you next week for Block 9. Happy crafting!